Welcome back. Now it's time for us to try controlling how much moisture we keep in the bristles of our brush, because that's what's going to help us create some interesting strokes on the paper. This is called dry brush. This is a term that gets thrown around a lot by artists, but what does that mean? We're going to play around with this a little bit, and it's more easy to see how it works if your paper has more of a texture to it on the surface. And remembering from our discussion about paper for watercolor, you know there are some very smooth kinds of watercolor paper that are pressed in what's called a hot press process, and there are some that are rougher. There's some that's even called rough paper. Cold press has a rougher surface than hot press, and that's why I'm using some cold press right now. It has little bumps on the surface. Okay? Those little bumps can actually help us create texture in our paintings, and you'll see why in just a second. Let's rinse out our brush. I'm going to use a flat 1-inch watercolor brush, and I'm still using my ultramarine. I'm still using my ceramic thrift store plate for my palette, so you can see how I create that puddle of melted butter. Bob, I'm getting pretty sick of ultramarine. This is a loaded brush. It has a lot of water and a lot of pigment in it. If I pull it across the paper, you're going to see the kind of results that we had when we did a flat wash. To make a dry brush effect, we can't have so much water in our brush. And there's a number of ways you can get that water out of there. You could just keep painting until your brush kind of runs out of steam, and you'll start to see some dry brush effects. By the end of this stroke, there's some nice textural elements in there. You can see it would make it almost look like a sandy beach in terms of the texture that you've just created. You can do that deliberately by taking a little section of paper towel and folding it into kind of an absorbing pad to help you create dry brush effects. If I look at my brush again, besides the handle, I've got this metal ferrule part where they crimp the bristles into a nice flat row for a flat brush. I'm going to lay this pad of absorbing paper towel right where the edge of the ferrule and the bristles comes together. I'm just going to lay it on top of that folded piece of toweling and let the paper towel suck up some of the water. It's getting some of the pigment too, you can tell. There's blue in there, but especially it's getting the water out. That's partly because I'm not touching the tip. I'm not touching the place where the bristles end, where I'm going to put that on the paper. I'm just touching back at the root, kind of like. Now when I draw that across the paper, whoa, it's so dry brush, we can hardly see it. But you're going to get the idea better. Those little strokes that we've created are almost an individual bristle pulling some pigment across your paper. Can you use your imagination right now and see how you might use that when you're painting an old barn and you want to put some siding, some boards of siding onto it? Or maybe you're painting a field and you want to have some wheat growing out in the distance. That's dry brush. I don't want to give you the impression that the only brush we can do dry brush with is that 1-inch flat. Let's see what happens if we try a round brush. I've got a number 8 round here, and I'm going to load it up with our same ultramarine pigment. Are we ever going to get to use other colors? If I pull this across my cold press paper, I just get a nice, beautiful dark stroke. If I take some of that moisture out, I could just get a lighter stroke, basically. I don't see a lot of dry brush texture coming in here yet. What if I just kind of like brush it to the side? There we go. We're starting to get, do you see little flecks of pigment? That's where some of the bumps on the paper received that blue pigment and some of it did not. It's like where there's a dip in the paper, pigment didn't reach it, so it left a little white spot. And that's why you start to get that interesting texture. I'm going sideways now. I'm using the side edge of those bristles and creating that kind of texture. What would happen if I went upwards like grass? I'm going to just move this water over. I've got a fairly dry brush and I'm just going to go up. Well, there's some pretty cool texture. I've got some spots there. And when I say texture, what I'm talking about are the differences between the dark pigment of blue and the white of the paper, creating an interesting pattern. And that's what I want. That's what's going to make my paintings look more interesting. I want you to play around with this. The dry brush takes some practicing, and you got to try it a bunch of times on little study paper. Use every corner of it, just so you feel like you have a little bit of control. You kind of know how much water you need in that brush and how much you need to dry it out with your paper towel. Don't be afraid to do this a whole bunch of times. It's kind of lucky when it comes out beautiful, but remember Arnold Palmer, the great golfer, said that, he found out that the more he practiced, the luckier he got. And I think that's the same thing with this. We'll just try it a bunch of times, and pretty soon you get so that you sort of control it a little better. You control the uncontrollable. I'm going to go back in now with just a little darker pigment so that my painting of this grass has even a little bit more variety to it. It's got some lights and it's got some darks. So that's dry brush. It's really worth practicing because it can add a unique element to your paintings. Don't forget, you can keep a small piece of practice paper next to you as you get that brush just to the stage you want for that dry brush stroke. So you've really had some practice on the fundamentals of watercolor painting and the strokes that you can use. Up next, we're going to explore more ways to manipulate the paint on our paper. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Hi, I'm Bob. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you'll go by my website at watercolorwithbob.com. That's where you'll find an interactive outline of the whole course. You can also share your work with me and your fellow students. One thing I really love about watercolor is how accessible it is. That's why I realized it was important to me to put this course out for free. That said, it would mean the world to me if you would support this work. You can like it, you could share it with your friends, you could subscribe to the channel, you could also visit the gift shop or even make a donation. Thanks so much. See you on the next lesson, and happy painting. Of course, I would never do something so immature.